Sorry, I I was muted by the recording. But Ola, I was checking which document you're referring to from April 2022. There's the doc that I just put in the chat, but then there may be something else that you're referring to.
So it's the KBK weekly call document.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and when I scroll down, I see April 2022 as the last update.
Got it. Yeah, I see one.
Oh,
Yeah, there's one basically from each meeting. We'll try to have one. So as of Friday, we had an update, and then we can put one in for today. But obviously, we had Thanksgiving last week, so we have a break between the two. And the quote I will actually add in right now. But yeah, you, I know, did a test through going through the application this week. I don't know if anyone got to view that. I'd be curious if you have any reflections you'd like to share here, just to start the call.
sure. So one of the things that I noticed during the application was how some of the buttons weren't responding the way I thought they would. Take, for example, sometimes I try to like click on the login page, login with wallet, and then it wouldn't respond. And I was wondering why that is. There is also the part where I'm not sure if we're supposed to have like a logout button, but there is no like logout button, which means that like if I want to just exit that link, I pretty much just have to close it. And then when I try to log back in, I have like my name, my address all sitting in front of me. Like, what if, you know, like my laptop gets stolen or something? It means like someone has access to it. So I'm not sure about like the workflow or like the function of the staging wallet yet, but I'm curious why like there is no sign out button, something like that.
That's a good question. I don't know, Brandon, do you recall if this has come up in the research at all?
Yeah, I think it has. I think the idea being is that it's not like you're signed in on a server. You're just carrying a JWT token that like attests to your valid session. So it's not like sign out in the same way as it would if we added one. Then it would effectively just delete that token. And I cannot remember where we landed on whether we thought that's something that we should implement. But I just remember that's how Simon explained it to me, is it's not like you are, logged into a server and it's maintaining an active session for you. It's that you're carrying all the information for your session and bringing it to the server. So when you click sign out, you're just like terminating this little token that you have. But yeah, I don't remember too much exactly why we decided to keep it the way it is. Or if that technical explanation is even correct. It's not my strong suit.
No, thank you for offering it. And even still, there may be some benefit in like a close session button to close the loop, even if it is not a requirement technically to like actually log out or log in.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay. Ola, maybe we'll come back. If you have anything else, feel free to add. Or Joan, please.
I just wanted to add, I think there was a discussion in the Slack. I can try and find it. I think someone a month ago or something was talking specifically about a logout button, and there was a long discussion beneath it. I can go and try and find it, and I'll link it in the chat.
Do you mind if I share my screen for a minute or two?
Please.
Okay. So I have the pretty much this is the front page, right? And see, like I'm trying to click right now and it's not responding. And I wonder why that is. So I'll try to refresh again. And
Could you open your
Right.
developer console, F12, and go to the network tab?
say that again.
Could you press F12 to open your developer console? And then go to
Okay,
the
no,
tab if
I
there's any
can
errors.
just do that. I can do that. Developer console.
We could do it offline too.
Yeah, right here.
There's an error going on. I just want to capture it for Simon, you know. And then go to network. And then reload the page. And then you can close the thing on the bottom. Over on the right, that'll give you more room. Yeah. Okay, all good. Now click login with your kernel wallet.
You want me to click on login? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's
Right
not
now. Yeah.
doing anything. Okay, interesting. I would put that in the KBK chat. Oh, it might be because you're on staging.adventures.kernel.community. I'm not sure, but even so, that's worth posting. Posting in the chat so that Simon can see it. Good find.
Yeah. And so like usually I so let's see now. Right. So can you still see my screen?
No.
Okay, wait. So yeah, so I'll pretty much just think so I just tried to like clear my browser to see if the cache for the page could help, and it did help. And now like if I click on login, boom.
Interesting.
Right. So yeah, I'm not sure. And I'm also curious like what these links are for.
Yeah, these are the different apps kind of in the ecosystem of kernel services. So the idea being that like rather than having a single application that has all the functionality in it, that can make it difficult for open source contributors and for the community to maintain over time. And it's also less modular or for other communities to use. So they've taken each of the like core pieces of functionality and put them in their own application, and they're all linked to in the wallet. So which is also I think referred to as the portal. So the main way to get through is staging.wallet.kernel.community. And then once you log in with your wallet there, on the right side, you see all the apps available. And then you go off to each of them. And then the way to get back is through that footer, which that's kind of that navigation has been an ongoing discussion, whether it should be in the footer or a side nav. The footer is the easiest to implement, so that's what we've done so far. But yeah, I'm curious if you have thoughts about that. Like, was that apparent to you, the way that the services were designed as you were going through the application process?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I was asking what the services in what sense?
Yeah, so I think like from the very technical sense of web services, but then also like the services that kernel.community is providing you. So like the ability to create and host convos is one service. The ability to apply to kernel is another service. The ability to review, right? So it's like service insofar as it is serving you information,
Right.
like a server, but then also like it is providing value to you like a servant.
Right. So because I've not been able to have like a first-hand experience of those services, and I didn't even know those services are available or were available until now that you mentioned it, right? So it's like very hard for me to say if it's serving my needs at this point, right? So
Let's see. I think we have enough fellows on the call to approve you, so that you would see everything. I'm gonna log in and find which application is yours, and we'll give it a passing review because you are an all-star and you deserve to be in kernel.
yay.
And then that way you'll get to see everything and play around, because there's some cool goodies in here.
Yes, and if anyone else needs to get any reviews, we're happy to do it. Feel free to put it in the chat.
Okay, I will link it in the Zoom. So anybody else who is already a fellow in the services, go give Ola a unicorn. I think he just needs one more.
Can I say something?
Please,
Go.
please, Jim.
So I think it's a very valid point that Ola is raising, that the links to the internal services, they don't make sense when you're not logged into the system.
Yeah.
Either, I mean, regardless of whether you know what's in there or not, you can't use them when you're not logged in.
Yeah.
So it might make sense to simply remove those links from the login part, so they are only visible once you're in there.
I believe that's one of the tasks that is kind of on the docket, but Vivek, maybe you know better than I. I'm not sure if there's like a board or anywhere where that's being tracked, but it's something that I've discussed with Simon.
Okay, yeah. I don't, that was a question actually I was curious about if there was one board wise, but it's good to know because I agree it makes sense that that would be removed.
Yeah, there's
those
two footer components, some like, and one of them is just a blank footer, the other has those links. And I think I identified there are 4 pages that have the links that shouldn't, or I think it's don't have the links but should rather. So there's kind of like a mix on both ends, Joan, where like, if you're not in the system, you see the links, but that sometimes when you're in the system, you don't see the links, which means you can't get home. So that's a really good point to recirculate, I think, because it's happening on both ends.
So I'm just going to share my screen again, just like show a flow that I just noticed while on this call and like the hiccups that I'm noticing. And that is from me trying to like just open the link Brennan shared. So here's the link, and I have been redirected to logging in. And to log in, I'm going to import my wallet. And then my password. And then go to wallet. Boom. Takes me back to login.
Interesting.
And so
that's good. This is being recorded, right, Vivek?
It is.
right.
Sweet.
And so when I go back to, when I click on login, then it brings me to the front page. And then I'll try to click on the link you shared, Again, Brennan.
Well, so you technically probably shouldn't be able to see that, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens with the link again. Okay, so this is opening now that page, but now
He should be accepted though at this point, because I'm not seeing his review anymore.
yeah,
That's all.
so
Yeah.
so even the review, I'm trying to like, I don't know if I have access to the review, but I'm trying to like go to the review and saying login, and I'm already logged in, and now I click on login, and yeah, I'm hitting.
It's back on that issue. I wonder
Yeah.
if it's the same issue with the cache. So I know 2 weeks ago, the conversation focused around reviews and how they should happen, and one of the, and like how data should be protected. And so it's maybe some of the changes discussed during that call have been implemented, and maybe not all the way. So one of the things that we discussed is once somebody has enough information to be accepted, that their review isn't visible anymore. So like, if that's why I'm not seeing your review anymore, to be able to check if it's accepted or not, but it looks like it hasn't granted you the full permissions. So Simon, if you're watching this, that's probably something to look into.
Yeah. I wonder, Brendan, if you can click into that link. I can see Ola's review has accepted. It looks like he's gotten even more since I clicked it.
It says will get accepted. The use of future tense is very interesting there, seeing as it doesn't seem like he's currently accepted.
That's funny. Yeah, on mine, this is how it shows. I wonder if you're
Oh
willing to
yeah, up at the top. No, at the bottom, underneath the vote tally, it says will get accepted.
But then
yes.
on Ola, in your screen right now, well, we just saw it. You have the apply, but you don't have the rest of the tabs quite yet.
I got an email say, Hola, welcome to the Kernel community. The family of Kernel apps are now available through your Kernel wallet. The question is how like now I have to like clear my history and see if I can get in, and then maybe I'll see something new, but I'm not sure what I'm going to see. So maybe I can share my screen to go through that process with you all, see what happens.
Yeah.
So okay, so the only time I'm able to like have this access to this welcome page is when I clear my cache for. Okay, so import.
Wait, Ola,
Yes.
what happens if you, in the address bar, if you delete register and no, where you were, just delete the last register. Try that.
So it's going to go to the front page. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Then try log back in.
Log back in.
Ah.
Okay, maybe
Hola.
try. Yeah.
But now it's creating a new wallet. That's
Yeah.
So this is
good catch, Joan. So when he clicks log back in, it's taking him through the register flow.
so this
Yeah,
is
that
this
doesn't-
is creating.
I'm not sure what happened, but it just seemed
Okay.
that maybe it's you need to somehow enter from the staging.wallet.kernel.community
No,
in order
no.
to get into the flow.
No, so this is, if you look at the link right here, it's saying register and create, which means this looks like a whole new wallet
It
and a
is.
whole new address.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
So
Yeah,
yes.
sorry.
So I'm gonna have to like do this all over again just to yeah, to see what is going on. So here we have on the front page, click on login, authentication, and it says register. But then since I've done this before, I just have to like import what I have as an existing Kernel account.
I also, do you know
shouldn't have to import it?
why
though.
import though, right? Yeah, shouldn't it just be logged in?
Yeah. So it's
Yeah, you don't have,
there's no login.
right. So the two options. Okay.
Right.
I mean,
so right here we have a login but then if I click on login, we go to where I get to create and generate keys all over again.
Do you remember if you made a backup?
So I have a backup. I have a backup, and the backup is like what I'm trying to import for.
Yeah, try the import
Yeah.
since you can do
Yeah.
that, Ola. Most
Then try-
users, yeah, most users, I think it might be.
Sorry,
Yeah, I can.
getting
I
all
can
excited.
I can import. I can import with no problem, but I can't import. There's no importation from here because this login directs me to creating a wallet anyway.
No, you're right. Try create a wallet, and then I've done this before.
I have
Let it-
a
yeah.
wallet, and all I
Yeah.
have to do is just import
Let's
the
see how
wallet.
it goes.
Yep, that one.
What I'm curious
and
about
download.
is Ola going to be able to see all the stuff? That's kind of the end goal here, I guess. Fingers crossed.
Right, and then go to wallet.
Ooh,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so something, so Ola, just so you know, right, like
No
right
idea.
here in kernel editions, you should be seeing, let's see, I can try to show you. And John, you mentioned earlier, you may want to, like maybe we could try with you too, is basically my path forward, because Ola, in theory, we think you should see all these things. Do you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see. I can't see any of that. No way.
That's all the cool stuff I was talking
No
about.
Like I really want to dive in now, right?
Yeah. We'll get you there. You have the 24 points that are required by far. But Joan, should we try with you? Is that something you were suggesting in chat earlier?
Yeah, well, not the staging one. I was wondering if I could be let into the other. There was some
Like
talk
real one.
at some point about both, and I wanted to just know what was in the other one.
Oh, it's old stuff. It's just the production server that hasn't been updated.
Okay.
So staging is further ahead right now. Is that right?
That's what I understand as of a few weeks ago.
Yeah. We can try to let you in though, John. See what happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would actually be really
I'm-
useful because
I'm so
since Ola was
curious.
because Ola was having issues with the browser cache. There's a possibility it's unique to his machine. So getting a different user and a different machine testing this would provide good information.
Is anyone in? Brennan, are you already in on production?
I don't think so. But
I
let
don't
me
know.
go check. The last thing I remember being discussed about production is when we got those applications, and we were all like, "How the hell did people find us?"
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm not positive this will be a good use of time, Joan, because I also am not in on production.
No,
So
that's fine. I must have misunderstood something then. I thought it was a place to go.
maybe though doing it on staging to see if the issues that Ola is experiencing can be reproduced for Joan.
I'm already on staging.
Yeah,
But
I guess anyone could create a new wallet.
Or even trying to log in with your existing one. So like I'd really love to see if it's forcing you to import rather than log in.
No, I'm in there. It's fine.
Oh, interesting.
I haven't had a problem with that.
oh, and Ola's in. Is this Ola?
yes. So I'm in. Turns out that I was importing the another wallet entirely that I used to try to like sign up. And so like thankfully I had like the other wallet, and then I tried the other one and boom.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's still incorrectly but it still forced you to import this wallet.
Yeah, I had to import it. I can try all over again. Let's see. I don't know if we have enough time for that, but I'm just gonna try to see.
Oh, maybe so. Okay, I think it's when you clear your cache.
Yeah.
It's so you have the file stored in like local storage on your computer, but I think it's also stored in your browser cache, so the page can detect that a wallet exists and send you to log in rather than register.
Yeah, but this is still like import versus log in. Why is it required to import?
If it can't detect the wallet because in his browser cache, because his browser cache was cleared, it will have to re-import the wallet to the browser cache, I think. So I have no idea how this works. This is just my normal product manager web sleuthing. So it'll be really interesting to see what Simon and Salim and Andy say later. But my guess is that's what's happening is because his browser cache was cleared, the browser forgot that he had a wallet. And so it's like, hey, you either need to create one or import one.
Okay, so first there is no log out button as you can sign out, which which means that I'm not sure what happens when I pretty much just decide to like, okay, like I'm done for today and I just want to leave, right? And so it's like I'm curious about the flow of like what happens when I'm trying to like import another wallet or I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but
yeah, when you log in, you select a session duration that you want to be logged in for. But since it's not forcing you to log in, it probably should have asked you what your session duration should be at some point when you were importing.
It does that sometimes. Yeah, all the time anyway, not all the time.
The thread Joan linked is really helpful for kind of like learning some of the background context here.
Nice.
Oh wait, Joan just put it back again. Perfect.
The one I just linked was another one. It was I just linked a Slack comment where Andy wrote something about letting people into the production site from next week.
Oh yeah.
That's why I thought I should go and check that one out.
You are correct then. Vivek and I should probably go apply to that too.
It's true. It's true. I remember that message. Yeah.
And I applied to it like 2 weeks ago or something, and nothing happened.
Aaliyah, are you in on production? Do you know?
No, I'm not. I have not applied because I wasn't sure if we were using it.
Oh, it looks like I am somehow, but I'm not a fellow. I have a wallet.
I also have a wallet. I just have not gotten into
Same.
that.
Oh, you know what? It might be detecting your staging wallet. If they use the same format. So then we just need to apply. Okay, well, we'll do this. And then I think if you just post a new message in KBK, then probably Simon, Andy, and Salim, I would imagine, are at least are in there. And they can start reviewing people and getting us in. It looks like that is the plan, to get people in the KBK channel to be reviewing and kind of build up a body of reviewers throughout Kernel. So that when applications open, we actually have people there to review.
Getting in there.
Nice.
Let's see. This is fun. I'm submitted in there, but it doesn't seem like, yeah, we'll be able to get in quite yet. But I've submitted on production. Pretty strong user test. I want to open it up maybe. Pauline, Ray, who've been here for a bit longer, if there's anything on your minds to discuss. Also, I could check in with Philip. I know you came in a bit ago.
Obviously, I don't have the context from the first part of this meeting, but it's lovely to see you all and tune in. Has everybody had a good week?
Indeed, it's been a good one. December has begun. December has begun. It's feeling nice. I'm glad, Philip, that you're in touch with Eliana from Grappa too. The collective work on identity will, I'm sure, continue. So that's like a really nice thread to tug on.
Yeah, she said she's going to ping me her Calendarly, I guess, and then we can find some time to chat. But it's astonishing, actually, the proliferation of conversations around quantifying reputation and making it interoperable. It seems to have gone up the exponential this year, and it's perhaps even more astonishing to see the lack of concern over the possibly negative social outcomes of doing that.
Sure.
So I'm always curious to see whether anyone has taken an hour to whiteboard negative social outcomes, and if they have, how they are designing to attenuate those outcomes or eliminate them. I have to admit, I've lacked any imagination to attenuate that kind of reputation scoring in a decentralized fashion. I don't know how you can constrain it. I always point to the credit rating that we all live under, but that credit rating system is incredibly highly regulated, and yes, I don't know. Anyway, like you say, I will find out more when we get time to swap notes.
Sure.
That a lot recently, Philip, because I'm working on a quadratic voting implementation for something at work. And it's a pretty low stakes thing. So like, I'm not ultra worried about Sybil attacks, but like at the same time, knowing that somebody can just walk in, clone their wallet, distribute their funds, and just take over the whole thing. So like, oh boy, I should fork Gitcoin passport or something. Like, this isn't good.
Actually, I'm going to be on Kevin Owoki's Green Pill podcast.
Oh, you are? I love that podcast, man. I eagerly await that episode.
He's a super smashing and sincere chap. Of course, there are people on this call who know him better than I do, given Kernel's genesis through Gitcoin. So he has, I think he's recorded nearly 70 episodes so far. And I've listened to probably just about a majority of them. And it is fascinating to try and almost categorize the different guests. On one hand, you have guests like Jordan Hall and Daniel Schmachtenberger, I think is how you pronounce it. And on the other hand, you have, I don't know, perhaps more mechanistic type people like Stani, who's doing Lens Protocol, who thinks we should just all join the social graph and be done with it. But so long as it's not under Facebook, that's okay. So it is an interesting assemblage of people he's interviewed. So yes, I guess I have a chat with him and see where he wants to take it.
Yeah, and for everyone else on the call, I mean, like, I feel like listening to a lot of episodes of the Green Pill podcast really leveled up my ability to understand and build in Web3. So like in the interest of kernel building kernel, if you want to learn more about like quadratic voting and Sybil attacks and mechanism design and social graphs and all these things that like underpin Web3, but at a pretty high level conceptual level, I think that Kevin and his guests do a really good job of making those concepts at least somewhat accessible to the non-technical person, and like understanding them from like a gameplay perspective almost, of like the different considerations you need to make and when. So yes, Vivek, I do think it's apt to weave us back. Philip and I could nerd out on this for a while.
Where are you, Vivek? You've gone. You still here?
He's lost his audio.
Yeah.
Ah, well, that's interesting. How can he not be here on my screen, but still be in chat?
I see one Vivek scene, whereas before there were two.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I've still got a Vivek here. Yes, I've got one. Yes. Ah, so when he went, one of his two went. I got it. Right. And who's AI?
I do not know.
Yeah. And yet we've all been chatting merrily. I hope everyone's been nice to AI.
The freshest edition.
Let me open up the notes. Leah, I mean, would you like to take those open questions and kind of open them?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let me pull up the doc. Where are they? They're not here though, are they? Oh yeah, okay, I see it. Should I share my screen, or does everyone see where we are on the doc?
Sharing screen is probably good.
Yeah, sharing the screen would be nice.
Okay, let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Indeed.
Okay.
Could you zoom maybe though?
Yeah, sure. Wait, actually, hold on. I'm not sure where. There are actually.
I think it's there.
You think?
Yeah, Friday 2 December. Is that, and then open topics.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so we have the basic of who reviews applications, right? I think a common theme in our conversation has been, do we just open it up to everyone at all times, and any person who is in the kernel community has access to all applications coming in and can rate and review? Or I think the other idea is, do we ask people who are interested in pre-screening to sign up, after we have spelled out all of the expectations, kind of time commitment. And then it'll be a more intentional kind of pre-screen committee, with not people just doing it as they randomly have time, or potentially just to get a friend in, right? That's one of the concerns there. What are the criteria that we use to review applications, right? Like, are we looking for prior experience in Web3? Are we looking for, work at a big tech company, genuine curiosity? How do we define that? And then how do we correlate that to a representation, a judgment that we, kind of a total, like a kind of grade, for lack of a better word, to decide whether that application should move on to an interview stage or not. And then are there a certain number of those reviews, like those ratings, like X, that they need to move on to the interview stage? And like, is that figured through a point system? Right now we have the 5 different emojis, and they do correlate to points. And once an application has 15 points, they are accepted into the community. And I think so a unicorn is 5 points. So it takes 3 unicorns to reach it. But like, I guess the question for me is how accurately do those emojis really reflect various criteria, all subjective criteria at this point, since I don't think the emojis are well defined. I'm just gonna leave it there because like that's already a lot. So I don't know where we'd like to start the conversation, or if anyone has thoughts about the ones I just went over.
I think there was a system discussed of like, instead of having just the emojis generally about the application, having a thumbs up or a thumbs down on 3 different traits of kernelness.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been implemented in like a branch somewhere or is planning on being implemented, but it seemed like there's pretty strong support for that between Andy and Salim.
Yes, I vaguely recall that too. Did we have a thread on that?
I think there were a couple, and there's a good PR from Salim talking about like the affordances that gives too.
Yeah, what do you remember the traits or the qualities?
Oh, I'll find it. Let me go to GitHub really quick.
So let me say that I don't actually like reducing it to emojis at all. I think it's a very nuanced decision. Everyone has their own personality and their biases and the sort of things that they like in a person or may dislike in a person, but every person is a really complex and unique human being. And what we're really thinking about is the value to the community of bringing a person in. And it may be very convenient for things like statistics to keep track of, you know, emojis is symbols for a number on a scale of 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 or 1 to 7, whatever it is. But it strips away a lot of nuance. And I think that there's something to be said for a person applicants on their own and deciding what they think and recording something about it. But as I said 2 weeks ago, I think that there's enormous value in having community members who have agreed to do reviews actually talk to the other reviewers and have a discussion, because that's really what this is. It's a communal activity about admitting new members into the community, and we're really reducing it to something really very simple. If every person could just sort of use their own criteria, and then we abstract down those criteria to a very few metrics and a very few emojis, it washes away all the nuance of what makes a person, a human being. And to me, that doesn't reflect care. It's too simplistic. And that would be why I suggested, you know, borrowing something from liberating structures, which they call 1, 2, 4 all, that, you know, a person should review on their own, and then they should talk with someone else who has reviewed, and then probably there should be 2 other reviewers who talk to each other, and then all 4 people should talk about the candidate. And incidentally, like it was mentioned in passing, that we be concerned about someone trying to get in their friends. I'm not sure that that's a bad thing at all, to have someone in a community have a history and a social context about someone. Frankly, I would think that it would be useful for applicants to be able to say, would you like to name one person that you'd like to be on your review committee because they know you? And if they do, then that person can be on that committee unless they refuse to do the review. Because it's practical, like it's real knowledge. There's a relationship there, and we shouldn't pretend that relationships don't matter and say, oh, well, you might be just admitting your friend. Yes. Why not?
Would a no be somewhat awkward in that relationship then?
Yeah, maybe, but
I mean, I'm with you, because at the end of the day, if someone knows you, then that's preferable than trying to get to know someone in 15 to 30 minutes or whatever, however long we might be able to dedicate to reviewing someone's application. I get that 100%. I'm just trying to think, if I said, oh yeah, Charles, I definitely want him to review my application, and I got a no, I go, fuck, Charles.
Yeah, but that's okay. So like, take everything I'm saying as a coherent whole, which is that if I have a relationship with someone and I say no for some reason, that I don't think that they should be part of the community, even though they applied, I still have the answer if I want, which is to say, well, we make these decisions communally. It wasn't strictly up to me. Because it really shouldn't ever be just up to one person. I think that that's the more important thing. It was mentioned a few weeks ago that if it's really not just going to be stewards making decisions on everything, then members have to step up and be engaged and care about the community and care enough to want to bring in the right people and to want to keep out the wrong people, whatever that means.
Want to just, I first of all, I think, Ray, the framing here is healthy, and you're always so thoughtful with words, which is a trait that I am inspired by. The one reminder in the process, I suppose there's two. One is typically 1,000 applications. So for 4 reviewers on each, we just have to think about like how much time that then asks of everyone, and if it's realistic.
Wait, if what is realistic, that the 4 reviewers each review 1,000 applications?
Not 4 reviewers review 1,000 applications, but let's see. So 4,000.
You want 4,000 reviews?
Yeah, 4,000 reviews. 4,000 reviews. So let's say 100 people are involved, then that's 40 per person. And it does seem possible that 100 people within the community do 40 reviews. So
okay,
that kind of does check out. So that's good.
Well, I mean, it might be a little bit too demanding, but then that just means there has to be a gated process, just like many organizations have, where they have an initial pre-screen, and casual applications that show no effort don't get any further review, and that sort of thing.
Yep. That's a good first one. And then the other benefit to recall that I'm grateful for is that the group interview norm exists, that each person who reaches that stage, there is a group conversation, and by all accounts, it seems like that will continue. And so just a reminder for everyone that step also will be there, the group interview with a real human conversation, not only with somebody in Kernel, but with others who are exploring Kernel.
And so in that way, Vivek, this process is kind of the pre-screen rather than the full screen.
Correct. Correct. I do like doing some of that napkin math though, and Ray, seeing that it is possible to do something like 1, 2, 4. It may be slightly demanding to assume 100 people can do 40 reviews, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility or anything.
Well, it's a question that could be posed to everyone in the community. Are you willing to do reviews, and how many do you think you could do if this is the process and this is the estimated time commitment? Because any process should be validated with the people that are being expected to do it.
Correct. Yep. Most definitely. I'm just mindful of time here, and want to share, at least from my perspective, a lot of these questions have been open for a while, and I've been thinking about what the steward's responsibility is in driving this forward. And my sense is that as Andy gets back and we get the crew back together for KBK starting next week, that we owe some proposals, that is our responsibility. So my sense is that maybe the next step, we've spent a lot of time gathering thoughts, and then we can kind of like start poking at real proposals, perhaps using the proposals app, perhaps outside of that flow if it feels limiting, and then we learn and improve the proposals flow along the way. But that's something that's at least on my mind. If anyone else has thoughts before we wrap, would love to hear them. If you do have to go, thank you. But I'll be happy to stick around for a couple minutes if anyone has closing thoughts.
I have a somewhat unrelated question, and I don't know if it's something that should be, part of the group for everybody to hear it. But so
for 1 second, Ray, then I'm happy to stick around for that. But does anyone have anything they feel maybe? Okay, then Ray, please go ahead.
So I remember seeing in the Slack chat something that Celine posted from Dowistry about Defender's advantage, and how that talk linked to something about gated collaboration. I will just put those links in the chat for context. So there's a few things that I don't understand in terms of how the agenda is set for Kernel Building Kernel, and I feel like I'm still like trying to figure out whether I can contribute enough to really focus on contributing, or would it be just the sort of dabbling that doesn't add a lot of value. And I could use a bigger picture, and maybe I would not be the only one who ought to know, well, what's the plan, the agenda, like how are we mapping out what gets worked on and what doesn't, and is it only one thread of activity, or are there potentially as many threads of activity as there are squads of people who can work on it? I feel like that should be clear, and maybe it was made clear to some people at some time, but to me it's completely opaque.
Yeah. And Defender's advantage, how, and perhaps Gates.
Right. So the issue there is that if processes would be open and anyone can just come and join the Slack channel or come onto the Zoom call, that there's a real possibility that people who are trying to contribute actually slow down progress because it becomes too many different things to manage at one time. And I think that that's a valid problem that could exist. And I don't know if it's been thought through and how KBK is actually meant to work. And I just think that that should be clear.
Yeah, I agree, for the record. And I think, I know Sal and Andy and Simon have also been talking about kind of some rejiggering of the format, perhaps an over-reliance at this point on the Friday Zoom call. Are there ways to meaningfully split or federate into groups that are productive in their own ways? And so I think that's probably a big part of what comes into how we get into the new year. It's probably 2 more KBK calls in this format before the year ends. We're quite focused as a stewards group on making sure we get KB8 apps live, and want to make sure that that kind of block by block flow continues, and that kind of is a breathe in and breathe out mechanism for kernel. These block ends, deep breath in, and then another block begins. So we need to make sure that that continues, and maybe that's led us to kind of like stay here on this call as a KBK mechanism for a good part of this year, as we focus on that. But I could really imagine that kind of squad approach proliferate, and I'll make sure, if people don't watch the recording, that the sentiment travels past just me towards the folks who will be leading from next Friday. So thank you, Ray. Thank you.
Kind of along a similar vein, the main thing for me has just been like clarity. So like I was initially invited to contribute by Simon, who was really eager to have me and to like, you know, use some of my light PMing skills just to help bring clarity. And then that, I don't think that's what we actually needed at that point. And then, but like coming in with that energy set me up with like a certain expectation with some of the other people involved. And I feel like I got caught in this web of like being asked to contribute in one way by one person, but then the other people were like, why is this guy contributing in that way? Like, all I want to do is contribute. And with the completely open model, like it creates like such an ambiguity of like, am I intruding? Am I helping? Am I getting in the way? And I think that's part of why like we just don't see a lot of people diving all the way in, is because, you know, I think we all have this idea in our mind of like the defender's advantage is real, and we don't want to participate in the offender's disadvantage, you know? And so just knowing more about like, you know, what are the limits on my participation, and not so much like hard limits, but like what is appreciated about the ways in which it's possible for me to contribute, so that, you know, I don't step on toes, so that I know, you know, where I'm needed, and that sort of thing that just helps people feel like more invited into a system in a structured way, and like knowing which rooms of the house they're welcome to go into, not because they're trying to poke around, but just because they're trying to enjoy the dinner party and want to help the host clean up, you know?
Right. Absolutely. It's good analogies. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. There should be kind of, you know, if you enter a house and there's things to fix in all directions, there still needs to be some way to split the group up into healthily picking things up and getting things ready, and preparing the grounds ultimately in this moment for KB8, and then with services, it's almost like clearing the grounds for KB15 or KB25.
Yeah.
And so those simultaneous things I think are happening, and we're, as a stewards group, honestly trying and struggling a bit, but this feedback is really helpful, because it makes clear that there are some blockages that we're responsible for finding healthy ways to clear and to allow energy to flow in ways that it wants to, and we appreciate it. And I think the next step for us is to make that, just to do it, right, to try to find the energy flow. So Brennan, on a practical note, we should make sure next week to make sure to talk about some of that. And at the latest next KBK call, Ray, we can kind of like bring something to the table there. I'm kind of reflecting on how to have that happen, but maybe I'll give it myself some thought and make sure to pass it along to the others who aren't here today.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Perpetuating the cycle of creation. Thank you, Brennan. Thank you, everyone. This has been a really big learning experience. Big thank you to Ola and Joan for your help moving us through the first 30 minutes healthily, and everyone for being here. We'll see you very soon.
Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.